Recording is on.
Ok, I'm going to share the agenda here.
A couple of folks already on. Do you guys want to introduce yourselves?
Hey, I'm Eugene. I was mostly hidden in all the conversations. So, yeah, or Eugene, nickname Yevgenovich from Germany. So I've been following you quite a few some time around. So yeah, I'm more the quiet guy. So
Good to have you, Eugene.
thanks.
What's up?
Ingemar.
It looks dark on my screen, huh?
We're recording already, but still a little early.
Hey, what's up, guys? My name is Robert. I'm based out of California, and I recently started following DXdao, and I joined this talk today to learn more. I'm an attorney, so if there's anything I could help out in, I'm definitely interested in learning more to see exactly where and how I can help out in. And if you guys have any ideas to that, please let me know. I look forward to the chat.
Great, nice to meet you, Robert. And for the folks that don't know me, I'm John Kelleher, work at Level K. We did a lot of the work on the fundraiser DAP and are doing some other development work for DXdao. I've been kind of emceeing these calls recently, and I'll do that again today, but would be looking to share that responsibility with other community members going forward.
Introduce myself. So my name is Ingemar. I'm a writer, podcaster, consultant in the blockchain space. I've got a background in marketing, and yeah, ever since I started writing content for DXdao, got more and more involved, and here we are. So I also published an article today on how to properly submit a proposal to the DXdao, and should offer some guidance for people who are new to the community, and they might have some good ideas, and this should hopefully give some guidance on how to properly approach the community, get involved, have people know your name, and submit an idea for everyone. That'll help move the community forward.
Hi guys.
Hey Nico. We're just kind of going around doing some introductions as we wait for people to filter in.
Maybe let's continue. Do you want to continue, Nico?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so happy to joining today, and I actually met Geronimo back last year at DEF CON, and been following what he's actually doing, and got aware of the DXdao by beginning of this year, and started contributing I think 6 weeks like that back now, and mainly working on some Solidity stuff, and yeah,
Great. If we want to keep going, let's see. I can. Sometimes we just pass it off to the next person, but I can call it since some people are just joining. Thomas, do you want to? Spofford, do you want to?
Sure. My camera on here. Hey guys, if you don't know me, I'm Thomas. I got involved through DORG. I contributed to the fundraiser, and I'm looking forward to working more on the DXdAO's products going forward. And are we calling on people? I don't know who's gone yet, so I'll leave that.
Yeah, I can help it in that case. Corcus, do you want to go?
Yeah. Hey guys, I'm Corcus. I'm the product designer for the DXdao. I designed the fundraising application and Omen and Mix. So all things related to the products we're building, I'm kind of right now the guy who's designing in terms of UI and UX. And yeah, that's it.
Great, thanks. And for the folks just joining, we're just going around doing intros as people filter in. Ezra, you want to go next?
Sure. Seems like this might take a while, though. It's a big call.
Yeah, we can stop if it. I'll just give it a few minutes, and then we can start the agenda. People are still coming in. So.
I defer to all of you. Yeah, I'm Ezra. I work at DAOstack. I've been around in the DAO space for a long time, and I know a bunch of these DXdao people from various other things as well. And yeah, so I guess you can think of me as a DAOstack representative.
Awesome, thanks. Elon, how about you?
You just snagged me as soon as I came. Yeah, so my name is Elon. I also work for DAOstack. I'm a big fan of DXdao. Oh, here's Matt's face. Yeah, I also know a bunch of people here from various different kind of interactions. Yeah, and I've been kind of like really coming up with like various different things that can be done for the DXdao. I have a lot of DAO knowledge. So yeah, yeah, you'll see some, I guess, proposals or stuff like that for me in the future.
Awesome, thanks. Rick, do you want to go next?
Sure. I'm Rick George. I live in Texas in the United States. I'm more of an enthusiast. I'm spending my spare time just reading what I see online, keeping up, learning what I can. And I should have a lot of time to contribute and help out where possible.
Awesome. Matt, how about you? Find
Hey everybody, Matthew here from Loopring, longtime DXdao member and enthusiast, sometimes frontman at some presentations, although now maybe we'll have some better frontmen with all the new interest. Yeah, mostly participating on behalf of Loopring and a few other ways. Also been working on the DMM integration with that group that is kind of bridging off-chain or real-world assets onto Ethereum, and has granted the DXdao some of their governance tokens and stuff like that.
Awesome. Let's go to some of the newer folks. If anybody, well, I see Dave. Maybe I'm just calling out what I see on screen names. So.
Hey, can everyone hear me? Hello?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, sorry. My first time using Jitsi. So, my name's Dave. I am the VP of Business Development for CLC Group. CLC Group are a team of people that built Honeycomb Marketplace, which is a decentralized marketplace for external API data for use in Ethereum dApps served over Chainlink oracles, basically. So it's a way of getting premium API data into any application on Ethereum that wants to use it. I've presented projects a few times live, and I write blogs and various articles on the research side. So I'm looking, at the moment, I haven't really actually done anything for DXdao, but looking to see how I can get involved, how I can help out.
Great, thank you. Hey, Eric, are you there? Arsenal.
Yep. What's up? Hi, guys. Oh, am I supposed to give an intro?
Yeah.
No. I feel like I already gave an intro like last week and the week before.
A lot of new faces. We'll do this a couple more minutes and then we'll jump into the agenda.
Yeah. I'm Eric. I work at DXdao. Focused on DAO use cases and work with various clients. Yeah, just interested to listen up, see what's new in the DXdao.
Great, thanks. I don't think that's everybody, but I don't want to call everybody out, but if anybody else would like to do an intro.
Hey, I'll go real quick. I'm Sky. I know a few of you guys in here. I was early, like I was part of the original DXdao rep offering, but then I kind of disappeared, and I've been back the last few weeks, so I'm excited to get more into it.
Awesome, nice to have you.
Thanks.
My name is Chris. I used to work with Thomas at Maker, and I'm just generally really interested in DAOs, and it's really exciting that you guys had a very successful little crowd sale, and just looking to see how I can help. I'm pretty active in like the MakerDAO community, and it gives me no pleasure to say that they do a lot of things really well that I think other DAOs can kind of learn from. So that's why I'm here.
Awesome, thanks. Other Chris, I see you there smoking something. What, you want to enter?
Yeah, hey, other Chris. There might be another one. There's lots of us. But I've been on the call the last couple weeks. Last week feels like a year ago. Yeah, I guess I wrote a newsletter for last Friday on DXdao, and yeah, interested to see kind of how things develop, and just feeling a lot more that it's a lot more tangible and real, rather than just kind of theoretical discussion. So figuring out how to kind of move that into real activity.
Awesome, thanks. Yeah, Chris's coverage on the DXdao I thought was really great, and from his Govern This podcast newsletter last week, it was a great read.
Yeah, it was
and,
awesome.
Yeah, and I think now we're 10 minutes in, so maybe people will get a chance to introduce themselves later, but I think it's time to probably jump into the agenda. I think we wanted the main focus today to just kind of be, since there's a lot of new faces and the crowd sale has kind of picked up, we figured maybe spend kind of the front half of this just going over how to be involved in the community, the various like ways that people communicate, how the consensus works. And before we jump into that, maybe I'll just address to some of, I think, the misperceptions I've seen around the sale itself. Like some common things I've seen people get wrong is that it's a continuous one. So there's no max supply. It doesn't have an end date. The price is tied to the issuance by the curve. The sell price is really, really low on the investing interface. And so it doesn't make any sense to sell on that. That's important for people to know for the time being. That's because the sell price is determined by the buyback reserve in the curve. And right now that is only being filled up by 10% of the buys going into the buyback reserve. But that reserve serves the full token supply, including the pre-mint, which is currently mostly locked up for the DXdao. So it's just important to know that that sell price is really low, and that's by design. But the idea is that in the future, revenues from the DeFi products that the DXdao runs would go into that buyback reserve, bringing that sell price up. And I also think it just kind of in general makes sense that trading on secondary markets will happen between the buy price and the sell price. So right now it's just kind of like anywhere below the buy price, basically. So yeah, those are just some things that I've seen people getting wrong. And with that, maybe Ingemar, you wrote a great article just recently on how to engage. So maybe you can kind of lead us into just a general walkthrough.
Yeah. So I posted the link towards the top of the chat. So it's basically to offer guidance for people who not just want to write a proposal, but to like figure out I guess like the lifeline of like what goes into a proposal. And so in there, I log all of the communication channels that we use. So we use everything from Telegram. That's where most of the people, the newcomers have been showing up. And it's funny because before the raise really picked up momentum, it was almost had low activity. And now, we have a lot of people funneling from there into the Keybase. Keybase are where most of the discussions on governance and products and development and overall DAO related conversations happen. So that's a really good place to meet other people in the DAO, other reputation holders, see what the real conversations are, and hopefully make a few friends. So following that, if there's an issue that you really want to raise and make public for us to see, DAOtalk.org is probably the best place to start a discussion. It's been getting more activity lately, and if you do have a proposal idea, even drafting it there, just saying like draft proposal in a DAO Talk thread, like that starts the conversation and it saves you gas from putting it on Alchemy. You get some feedback, you get to kind of edit it before it goes on chain, and then once you get some feedback, hopefully it's good feedback, the final step is Alchemy, where you put it up and hopefully it's voted on. So clearly there's a process. You want to get to know the community, you want to make some friends, you want to introduce yourself, have them know you, contribute to the conversations, and like naturally, if you have a good idea, we'll get behind it. That's kind of what we want. So hopefully that article gives you a sense of the sort of the funnel that we go through.
Cool. Then maybe we can open it up to questions then.
Also, if there's any questions, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go.
No questions.
Well, not necessarily like a question, but more just observations that in addition to like the people not understanding the sale, it's not necessarily clear what exactly, like what the purpose is of all of the tokens in the DXdao universe relate to. There's a lot of confusion about what DXD is. There's confusion about what rep is. There's confusion about how GNO kind of like fits into this whole thing. And it would be really nice if there was just kind of just like a cheat sheet that could be pinned in all of these groups, because a lot of people seem very confused about a lot of different things. And that may be just like one way to like start organizing, because I know like 4chan speculators aren't necessarily always the I don't know, like they're not who DAO purists may think like in their head like would make ideal community members, but figuring out answers to these folks' questions could be very, very valuable, I think. So like understanding all of the tokens, right? Like that's something that like you really have to like sift through several different websites to kind of like get a good sense of. Just
yeah, I agree. That's a great point.
I have a question. Do you mean like by cheat sheet, do you mean like an FAQ? Because I feel like that would probably cover most of the stuff. There is an FAQ already. maybe something a bit more.
Yeah, but it's but even the FAQ is kind of it's ambiguous. Like people are confused about what dividend, like well, is it dividends or like what is it, and even the terminology that's used in some of the proposals in alchemy are a little not convoluted, but they're a little ambiguous, I guess I would say. So being really specific about what
I think there could be like a single page explaining because the DXdao employs multiple Can you guys hear me? Yeah. Okay. Right. So just to count them off, DXdao uses the DXD token. It uses the gen for boosting proposals. The GNO is for like a rewards program that Gnosis is facilitating. I know that there like Owl is also like a bounty reward token. So, and there's also rep. So there's actually like five like assets integrated into this DAO. So I think like a single page explaining all 5 would help a lot.
That's what I mean. It's like this is a very unique project that there are like 5 tokens. So people come in like asking basic questions, and there's not necessarily a lot of like experts because it's very new, right? So yeah, just being able to like kind of explain the basics and even like being able to like articulate like the underlying value proposition of DXdao from like an official source would be, and like some people have done this, and it's like very repetitive, right? Like, 50 people asked like the same question because they're just newly introduced. So like, that would be, I think that'd be a huge, like level up, like, just, I know there's an FAQ and it's like really well done. It's very beautiful, but maybe just like a 1-pager, just like explaining all of the things.
Great point. So I agree. We should definitely improve the FAQ a bit. I wrote a lot of it, but it was a different time, even though it was kind of in recent history. So there's a lot more to add. So I could either add to the FAQ, or we could have just a new little resource cheat sheet. I think it's a great idea. Just one thing to clear up. I don't think it's fair to say like the DXdao has 5 tokens. I don't think it's not necessarily incorrect to say. But there's like reputation and there's DXD. I think let's just make that clear and kind of clean up that narrative, because yes, it's true. There's like a GNO kind of like one time. Well, like this little proposal for the Mesa challenge, and Owl has a use, but maybe, as to use your word, it could become a bit convoluted if we actually include those as like DXD native tokens, DXdao native tokens. I think it's best if we kind of go with the narrative, like there's reputation for the DXdao and there's DXD, of course. If this project continues to expand, there might be like a dozen tokens that kind of have different things, this new liquidity competition on a new DApp, maybe something else on mix.eth that, maybe some type of, Compound comes in and says, we're going to give mix.eth users some comp, and Loopring says we're going to give some LRC. Like, I don't think those become like DXdao native tokens, but I think the DXdao will eventually become home to like so many different DeFi projects.
For sure, but that's like I think like that's where the confusion comes from, is that like people just like, even me, right? Like, when I first was like fumbling around, like I didn't really understand how all of these like tokens fit in. So when I go to like the like the holdings of the DAO, like I'm not sure what's like DAO specific and what's just like, well, this is just assets that the DAO owns, right? Like, rat BTC,
right.
The DAO could just like be sitting on like a bunch of rat BTC for whatever reason. And I think just like making the distinctions like very clear about like, like what the DAO, like what is the DAO, and then like how does the DAO make money? Like that's going to be like really being like specific about like those 2 things. Like I think would be a huge boon to helping people understand and get involved.
Definitely.
Somebody's just posting a question in the chat, which is another point of common confusion here. I think if you Google DXdao, and I think Elon's responding here, the top result is dxdao.daostack.io. It's a very outdated site from the initial launch and staking period about a year ago. And a lot has changed since then, and it really doesn't reflect much or really any of the current kind of information. So yeah, I don't know if somebody from DAOstack wants to address that, because it's out of the control of the DXdao. Really, it's up to DAOstack.
Yeah, we're working on redirecting it. The only possible concern is that we just need to make sure that that's okay legally, but at any rate, we should not have that information up on that site, so we're working on that.
Wait, Ezra, I guess we kind of like both work on this.
Yeah, you might know more than I do right now, Elon.
Yeah. So yeah, this will probably this page will be removed, and this will just not cause any confusion, because yeah, that's kind of like the bottom line. Yeah.
Yeah, and alongside that is the white paper, also from the initial period. Like, I think a lot of it is relevant, but it's not current, right? So I think I'd be curious to hear from new folks what the impression is. Like, is that misleading? I assume it's misleading, because I think it's like, if you see white paper, you probably think it's going to tell you everything that's going on right now, and it's also just not current. So I don't know, what do people think should be done with that? I think it's linked to, it's like hosted on a GitHub on Gnosis's GitHub that is hosting it, I think. And we could ask them to take it down potentially if it's not useful, but yeah. Yeah, I mean, it is relevant, but I'm curious if people think in general that it's just more confusing than it's worth.
I think Georgia's asked, like, what are the DAO plans to mitigate civil attacks? If you want to elaborate. What's the same?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Nice. He's a loopering community member and DXdao enthusiast.
Civil attacks. Yeah, does anybody want to address that? I mean, that's something I do worry about. The good thing, this relates to the token discussion, but reputation is non-transferable, right? So it's associated with an address. So if people are working to earn reputation, that's pretty hard to civil attack, I think, especially if you're doing like a significant amount of work and you have to demonstrate that you did the work. So I think in that sense, that's good, right? And then I think, though, basically anytime you have the ability to get reputation by paying for it, that it's pretty easy to civil attack, right? And so I think a lot of the initial reputation staking was vulnerable to civil attack. So we don't really know what the current state is, right? We don't know, of those 412 addresses, like how many people that really represents. It could be a lot less. I mean, it could even be more, as Matt pointed out in a previous talk, if multiple people control a multi-sig. But yeah, I mean, I think, personally, I think that's something that we need to be very careful about, and we should have a focus on balance and growing the amount of like earned reputation that's hard to civil attack, so that we know, so we have some confidence that we're not vulnerable to it. But I'm curious to get other people's thoughts on that.
So the civil attack, it's when you're able by making multiple accounts to get an advantage. And here, if you just make 2 accounts, you just get your reputation split into 2 accounts. So there is no civil attack possibility.
I think the problem, though, arises, Claude, is like, for instance, if you could pay like by, say, locking token for rep, you could create multiple accounts, earning reputation on both of them without people knowing that it's the same person, right? So if like the DAO cares about kind of capping rep or about its distribution, then that becomes difficult to track.
Yeah, so I think kind of maybe follow more about this. There are a few verticals of attack here. Someone could actually approach you and ask you to buy your account. If someone does this enough times and kind of like off-chain bribe you to buy your account, then they can, basically, essentially Sybil attack if they have enough money. So this is a scenario that can happen. Another thing is that, so I'm still running like decentralized hackathons where, the decision making is being done by DAO. And one of the issues is, what if someone makes a proposal that mints, that asks money that goes to a certain address, and that address is a contract that will look at anyone who voted yes and will distribute that money to everyone who voted yes. So this is an interesting kind of attack, but so yeah. Does that make sense, the last one?
I was getting distracted by all the new questions coming in.
There's a lot of questions.
We just got like 10 more questions, but let's see. Anybody have thoughts on what we should address here?
I don't know. Well, it is worth mentioning that bribery thing once more. That this is one of the attacks to be more concerned about. Like, for example, if I make a proposal that says something like, "Send me all the money," and let's say I make this proposal using a contract wallet, something like this, and I could even do in an automated way. I can even say, "I'm going to pay back the people who vote yes on this proposal, and I'm even going to pay back the people who vote yes earlier more." Right. So you can do like a very advanced kind of attack of this kind. That's might be the scariest kind of attack. And of course, the way to deal with this kind of thing is to downstake it a lot, to stop it from getting boosted, and then boost a proposal that strips reputation from anybody who's you're afraid is gonna screw something up. But yeah, that's probably the scariest attack to keep in mind. Maybe. I'm not sure if there is a really good defense to it, but it also is a fairly sophisticated attack to pull off.
One point on this. Oh, sorry. I saw some discussions in Keybase, like comparing like the decentralized from the start nature of DXdao versus like Maker, where like big amounts sit with like original known people, right? And so DXdao sounds to be more decentralized than Maker, but I think that actually the way that you protect against this exact thing we're talking about is, that there's big whales that hold MKR that like they have a inherent interest to look out for the Maker DAO system. And so if you had some known whales that hold enough rep for DXdao, you could be more comfortable that those people would really look out for the interest. So it is trusting, but it does eliminate this risk that we're discussing right now. And that's, at this point, the only way you can really protect against it, I think, is like a few whales could get together and stop that from happening. So I don't know if rep is known to be like who certain amounts are with each person or trusted individuals or something.
Yeah, it's just kind of like a very theoretical problem, right? Like there are a million different ways that DXdao could like fail, right? And like Sybil is just kind of like, one of very many ways that like something could go wrong, and it kind of seems like that we could like bike shit around this like for like 15 meetings like going forward. And this actually like brings up like one of the things that I wanted to suggest. And just kind of thinking about how big and like cumbersome and successful MakerDAO is. One of the things that they did that I was initially very, very resistant about implementing is like a governance facilitator. And this essentially just like formalizes like the process of like how the DAO just like gets shit done. And I think that this is like a really good idea. It seems like, I'm a relatively like new community member, but it seems like there are some like super legit teams already kind of working on this. We've been involved in the project for a very long time, and this may be like a really good, like a good suggestion, because we can like use these meetings to kind of coordinate on like actionable items for like next week, and just like keep getting shit done. Because like I tend to think like, you know, people's time is like very precious, and you know, not everything needs like not everything needs like a DAO wide kind of like decision on just like the implementation. Like, you know, we agree on like the plan, and then the implementation is kind of like left up to, you know, those specific people who are tasked, and like obviously like the DAO and rep holders like hold those people accountable. But this is just something that I think will greatly improve like DAO workflows. It's like hire, you know, like governance facilitator, you know, having someone who's like one job, it is like at least working for the DAO to like organize, put the agenda, you know, what are things we're trying to do? How are we like measuring like the progress of those things? And, you know, how do we keep growing?
Yeah, that's an interesting suggestion. And I think it's interesting too, because yeah, there's no single entity that is running this. There's no foundation like in Maker's case. I'm not sure quite how that would work, but I think that's worth exploring. And as well as these security attacks. There's a lot of other questions, so I want to give some of these some airtime. Somebody was asking about, I'm losing track of everything in the chat, but it's something about contacting Aave to see if there's a way to integrate them or their services into the DXdao. And so I guess I wanted to touch on that a little bit, because I do think that's a strength of the DXdao that's already being demonstrated, is the ability to kind of govern or integrate with multiple DeFi protocols. And we're next going to talk about Omen, actually. So that's probably actually a good product to kind of address that more too, because it itself integrates a few different services. Let's see. Yes, we're going to upload the talks on YouTube. The locking, there was an initial locking period from last year. DXD, in terms of DXD being used for different cases, there's nothing really right now that it's being used for, but it's very possible that the DAO in the future could use it or enable different things that could be done with the DAO, with DXD, whether it's like give you special privileges on the platforms, or locking for rep, staking for something. Cool. Yeah, let's see. Any other questions that I missed that we want to address before moving on to Omen? All right. Corcus, do you want to lead us into the Omen discussion? Did we lose him?
Geronimo. Oh, hey guys. My stuff was muted. Yeah, Omen is a prediction market. It's a new generation prediction market similar to Augur V2, with a focus to eliminate two things. One is like not being cumbersome in terms of user experience, and actually having a way to always provide liquidity for markets. So yeah, I'm not sure how much I should go into Omen itself. In terms of the product, where the state is right now, Protofire, the development shop who created the product, who developed the product, is almost done with it. So the product can be tested on, let me see if I get the link right. Can be tested here. And if you guys have any issues with the product, any bugs, you can find and report. I think that is something like if you guys put time into it and do testing, like there's no reason why the DXdao shouldn't reward you with rep, because you do a service for the DXdao and making sure that the product, which will be at some point launched this week, next week, is like user ready. So it's in the testing phase and it's in the QA phase. In terms of like, if you're looking further ahead into the future, I'm already like preparing a V2 for Omen. So it is not a product which is like done and that's it. It is a product which has like a iterative process which will be improved, and like there are a lot of things we can do to actually make that a product which is used by humans, and like people can actually use it to get knowledge about subjects. So any questions?
Ingeborg is suggesting maybe a screen share. Is that
maybe a screen
something
share?
we might have time
And
for?
someone asked like how Omen's different from Augur. I think there's some like really good distinguishing factors. Geronimo, if you want to just like run through them real quick.
Yeah, so I think two really bold points are like, first, it is not only like capable to use DAI as a betting token, as like money for betting, but it's actually capable to use any ERC20 token. So that's like very powerful. It is not restricting the whole protocol to just like one coin, but anyone can create prediction markets with any ERC20 token. And the next thing is it is not creating a shitcoin. So the product itself is using a protocol called Realit.io, which is like a peer-to-peer answer finding for questions. It's very similar to Augur, but you can basically think that we just replaced rep with ether, and it's similar in terms of like finding answers to the market questions. One important aspect there is that if that protocol is somehow getting attacked, there's always a way for people to call like the last resort entity, or it is called an arbitrator. So if someone is actually trying to attack and win a prediction market with like a wrong outcome, anyone can pay a specific fee to an arbitrator, which will take the role to decide what the actual outcome was. So that's like a second layer protection for actually getting the wrong outcome for the prediction market. And in the first version, it seems like Kleros will be the main arbitrator if the proposal will be passed today. So there's a proposal out which ratifies a much stronger partnership with Kleros. And right, so that's it. And like, there's a very high, like, it's just my personal view, but there's a high chance that Omen can actually kill Augur, because the way Omen was built is with the goal that any market will always have the chance to provide like betting. So with Omen, you can actually almost always have a chance to buy and sell outcomes. Compared to Augur, if the order book is not filled with orders by someone or by market makers, you can't do anything. So it's just like an empty prediction market where no one can do anything. And this is like the worst user experience you can actually provide. And Omen is trying to fix that. And we will see if that will work out. Any questions?
Sky is asking if it's on a testnet. The link is actually, I think, live on mainnet, right? The conditional.
Yeah, but you guys should definitely test it out on Rinkaby. So just switch your MetaMask to Rinkaby get some test coins, or just ask me, and I like making sure that you get some like test coins for something, and create markets, buy and sell. Just check it out. And like I said, like testing products for the DXdao should be rewarded, and which means like anyone can like join the member seats by getting rep rewards for that.
Awesome. Any questions on Omen?
I can you? I was going to ask about the liquidity advantage, just because I think that's probably like the key difference between Augur and how to take advantage of that. And I think if you look at like the lending side on the DeFi, like there was a long time where people thought Dharma, P2P loans were going to work, but it turned out to be like liquidity pools were kind of really important for allowing individuals at very, very small levels to constantly be able to like enter in and out of the market.
Yeah, and this is what the people from like who thought about creating Omen like realized is that you need to do your best to like have the best offer and the simplest way to bring liquidity in. And one way Omen will like kind of try to do that is like exactly like Uniswap is doing it. So
yeah.
Anyone can like join a prediction market by providing liquidity to it and like earn 4% per trade on it. So that's like, that sounds high, but like compared to Augur, it's actually like, as far as I heard, is like probably like 50% cheaper compared to like what Augur liquidity providers take for creating orders on Augur. So like with that, people can actually like, if they kind of predict that some market will be so huge, they could earn a lot of money with it. There's also a risk, but yeah. So at the end of a prediction market, there's like an easy signal to know like which outcome is actually the outcome which will be finalized. So there could be people who like sell the outcomes which have a very low probability to be the correct outcome into the liquidity providers. So to summarize that, the liquidity providers need to make sure that they take out the liquidity at some point to like not provide this kind of service for people to dump the worthless outcome tokens into the liquidity. So like we have some ideas to like make sure that the UX is, the product is just like making sure that our liquidity providers are not getting punished for that. And yeah, this will all come in V2, maybe V3, with different ways to protect our liquidity providers.
Cool.
Great. I think maybe we'll move on to the final subject we had on the agenda for today. Augusto, are you ready to talk about alchemy?
Yeah, sure. I will try to make this quick because I think we have a lot of questions. Let's see where is screen share. I think here. Well, I'm Augusto Lemble, Augusto L. I go by Augusto L in the work proposals, DAO tag, and yes, I've been involved in the community for 2 months now. One day I started the fork of Alchemy, which is the current infrastructure that we are using right now to vote, right? To manage the proposals, check out the members, see how much are the holdings of DXdao. So yeah, this is what we have been using so far. Then since I have some troubles when I started using it, and I saw like there were a lot of services and the way that the app was built, which is currently working and it's fulfilling its purpose. I was interested in moving the DXdao in another direction with a more decentralized service for voting. So I moved on that and I made a fork, which is a DAO stack single voting DAO. The main difference from Alchemy are here that the app is designed to work with only one DAO. It doesn't have analytics. It doesn't have any discrete widget. It has a simpler UI. It uses a router that make it possible to work with an application host on IPFS, which is for example the hosting that we are using right now for the Banding Cure app, the one that we are going to use for Omen, for Mesa. It has less components. The builds are more optimized. We don't connect cookies, and it doesn't have any terms and conditions. So this is what it actually looks right. You can use it right now on the link dxtest.eth link. This is
Augusto, I don't
this,
see your
this is,
I don't see your screen, Augusto. I don't know if you're sharing or not.
Okay. You don't see my screen, maybe because I'm recording, and that's why I'm not showing my. Now?
Nope.
Can you see?
No, not yet.
No. Okay. Okay, I'm going to share then the links here on the chat where you can. This is the DAO tag post that you can go and see where the app is deployed in the GitHub repository. This is the dxtest.eth link that we are using. This started as a personal and individual initiative. Then, well, since I'm working right now under a work proposal on the DXdao where this is outside the current responsibilities, I just share it with the community and see if the rest of the developers or any technical members want to take some ownership on this and help me and the rest of the community on how to have a more decentralized voting app. There is already a few things we can work on. I've been talking with the DORG folks. They have a lot of cool stuff that we can iterate. So yeah, looking forward to see if you are a developer, please go there, check it out. There is a lot of stuff to be done. I think this is super important for the DXdao to use a decentralized app that follows the same infrastructure that we are using. Again, having our website, having the application hosting on IPFS with a hash that everyone can verify that we can trust the source code that we are executing, and there are no services between us, the voter, and the blockchain that we are communicating. So yeah, this is the main goal. I think I didn't miss anything else. Yeah, that's it. I'm Augusto Elon Keybase. You can talk with me in the development chat on. Just send me a message there.
It looks like Ezra's asking about whether it uses the graph still.
Yeah, I was wondering if
it still uses the graph.
Yeah, just worth noting.
That's the last remaining thing that.
Yeah, it's pretty. I mean, originally we weren't using that, and it makes things pretty unusable at this stage. But I think the graph themselves are hoping to decentralize, and so hopefully that won't remain a point of centralization forever.
Yeah, it still uses the graph. That is the next thing that I think that the last thing on the current infrastructure that we have to remove. I know one of the Dior folks, they already have some ideas of how to remove it. It is a hard piece to remove because there is a lot of information. So we are investigating which type of caching solutions can we use in between. But yeah, that's I think the only services that we have that we are using from DAO stack.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And then eventually this could be hosted on the DXdao.eth site, right? The IPFS, ENS, and then the voting interface would also be hosted on a decentralized platform.
Is there anything that the community can do to make like running IPFS nodes for some of these sites? Like, is that going to just like make things better? Because I mean, you'd hate to like have this like rush of new people coming into the community and then like the fucking site not working for whatever reason, right? Like, so is there anything like we can do like in our own spare time to like point towards like, I don't know, some of these hashes and just make it run better? I don't really know how IPFS works, but just curious.
Yeah, this is like a really great question, and like there are a lot of things we can all do, and like that's why we actually believe in this DAO future, right? That there's like Maker fucked up on Black Thursday because they didn't run their keepers correctly, and they didn't make sure that the software was built in a qualitative way. And our hope is that by having like complete transparency and openness, is that people take care of stuff and don't like rely on some group who's like in charge or something. Like we are all in charge, which means we need to make sure that the proposals are correct proposals with correct function calls. Like right now, the UX is like fucking horrible, but our job is now to not make it horrible anymore, which means we need to create front ends which don't talk about function calls, but just like normal human things, which can be verified by anyone by any member, by anyone in the world. So there's like a lot to do. Like, okay, one thing everyone could check on chain, like to make sure our proposals, like one example is Misa is offline because we didn't thought about setting the content hash for Misa. So we changed the resolver, but we forgot to update the IPFS content. That's like one example where we like all fucked up. And this shouldn't happen in the future because we are like a crowd of a lot of people who can make sure that we're not fucking up together. And like, I think our future is like to work very closely with DAppNode. So building DAppNode packages that like everyone can like just like buy a DAppNode, install DXdao packages, and make sure that like this thing will never go down. Doesn't matter where, this will never go down. So we're in the very early stages, but I think we need to like move forward into like an even more crazy decentralized future. Like there's also the like I'm personally like having calls with Telon, the folks who created Urbit, which gives us like an even more sovereign, decentralized, off-chain communication layer where we can like build front ends which are like completely untouchable and user controlled. So it will take a while, but I think the fact that we are kind of forced to be decentralized means that I think we will have advantages in the future.
One thing that I want to add on that is that the current work that is being done right now and the application that we built so far, they were all designed to be hosted, for example, on IPFS, to be on ENS domains. So the design of the infrastructure is decentralized by default. So the information is there. The data is public. Now we are on this step where we have to communicate where all our public resources, where all our applications are hosted, for members who want to help the community even more by hosting and distributing and replicating all this information in a more distributed network. They will be able to. So this is the next step. We have to communicate what information is being hosted and how can you help spread it out on the network.
Great calls to action. Yeah, I mean, strong believer that DXdao is about decentralization, and we're kind of purists in that sense, and we want to push the envelope as far as we can. All right, great. Well, I think I saw 33 people at the max today, which I'm pretty sure is the record by far. I wanted to say welcome to all the new folks and hope you continue to stay engaged both on Keybase, Telegram, the forum. And yeah, we like to keep these calls to an hour just to respect everybody's time. This is kind of the general weekly call. I think there is now a BizDev call actually being organized. I'm not really part of that, but yeah.
There's one tomorrow at 10 New York time. I'll facilitate it, but it's for anyone who's interested in seeing how they can contribute to any of the business avenues of the DXdao. So anyone interested on getting the DXBiz channel on Keybase, that's where business development related conversations happen, and I'll post the link for that. Also one more thing, we're actually signed up for DAO Rush Week, which is hosted by Metacartel. So June 1st through 6th, we'll have like 2 virtual events. One will be like a presentation, and the second one will be kind of like a meet and greet hangout thing. So I think we'll definitely need like a deck. So if you guys know designers and maybe some content writers for other things, just holler at me at Engalandia in Telegram or in Keybase. Thanks.
Thanks, Ingemar. Yeah. And yeah, so BizDev, hopefully we'll have that link posted in a sec. If not, it's in the BizDev channel in Keybase. Or we can post it in Telegram and stuff too. I'm sure we'll get that posted one way or another. And yeah, and if you're a developer and want to get more involved, there's a development channel in Keybase. Definitely jump in there. And yeah, and with that, thanks again, everybody. We can wrap here.
One simple thing, guys.
One more thing.
There's like a kind of an important proposal out, which is trying to have like a majority reach, which means like above 50% of rep voted on it. It will be the first time in history for the DXdao to actually reach that. So anyone who has any rep, please vote. We're like on 40% and we need 50. So if someone didn't vote,
it is a great sacrifice to ask with these gas prices, but the DAO needs you.
I heard like someone paid $11. That's crazy.
Yeah. True patriots.
Fucking Ponzi's right now. It's this one Ponzi. It's ruining Ethereum right now.
Tether and scam. We're screwed. All right, guys. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Have a good day.
Take care. Bye.